On a quiet June morning in 1912, the small town of Villisca, Iowa, was about to be shaken by a crime so brutal and mysterious that it would leave a permanent scar in the annals of American history. Villisca was a peaceful farming town, tight-knit, safe, and quiet. People didn't lock their doors. Neighbors trusted one another. But all of that changed on June 10, 1912. That morning, the town woke up to a nightmare. The Moore family, Josiah, his wife Sarah, and their 4 children, Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul, were found murdered in their home. Alongside them were 2 young girls, Lena and Ina Stillinger, who had been guests at the house for a sleepover. All 8 victims had been bludgeoned to death with an axe, and not just killed, murdered, with a savagery that stunned even the most seasoned investigators. The discovery was made by a neighbor, Mary Peckham, who became concerned when no one from the Moore household came out that morning to do chores. After knocking and receiving no answer, she called Josiah's brother, who arrived with a spare key. What he found behind the door would haunt the town forever. Every single person inside the house had been murdered in their beds. The weapon, a blooded axe, was found in the guest room, leaning against the wall. Curtains had been drawn, all mirrors covered. A slab of bacon was inexplicably left next to the axe. A bowl of water, possibly used by the killer to wash their hands, sat quietly nearby. But what disturbed investigators most wasn't just the brutality, it was the calmness with which it was all carried out. There were no signs of forced entry. The killer had moved through the house methodically, striking each victim with the blunt end of the axe, first delivering fatal blows, then returning to inflict additional damage. In some rooms, the ceilings bore the marks of the axe's swing, suggesting the killer had struck with such force that the blade had gone above the victim's body and hit the ceiling. Lena Stillinger, one of the guests, was the only victim who showed signs of being awake during the attack. Her body was found sideways on the bed, her nightgown pulled up, and a defensive wound on her arm. Authorities suspected she might have been the last killed or perhaps even assaulted, but this detail has always remained uncertain. The community was horrified. How could something so monstrous happen in their quiet town? And more importantly, who could have done this? The list of suspects was long, confusing, and controversial. One of the earliest and most infamous suspects was Frank F. Jones, a powerful local businessman and state senator. Josiah Moore had once worked for Jones, but left to start his own business, taking with him a lucrative John Deere franchise. This caused deep resentment between the two. Some believe Jones had hired a hitman, possibly a known serial killer named William Blackie Mansfield, to carry out the murders. Another suspect was a traveling preacher named Reverend George Kelly. He was a strange man with a history of mental illness. He had been in town that night and even attended the Children's Day service at the church, where the Moore children performed. Later, he reportedly left Villisca in the early morning, boarding a train at an odd hour. He confessed to the murders twice, once under pressure and once during a supposed mental breakdown, but later recanted. Despite being tried for the murders, he was acquitted. Mansfield, too, had a dark past. He was believed to have murdered his own family with an axe 2 years after the Villisca killings. Some investigators linked him to similar axe murders across several states, pointing to a possible pattern, but no concrete evidence ever tied him definitively to the Villisca crimes. As the investigation dragged on, theories multiplied. Some believed it was the work of a transient killer, someone hopping from town to town, striking and vanishing. Others believed it was Percival, someone with a grudge against Josiah Moore or his family. Despite years of rumors, trials, and speculation, no one was ever convicted. The case officially remains unsolved, but the story doesn't end there. The house on 508 East 2nd Street, where the murders took place, still stands to this day. Over the decades, it fell into disrepair, but in the 1990s, it was purchased, restored, and opened as a museum. It is now known as the Villisca Axe Murder House. Visitors can tour the home during the day or, if they dare, stay overnight. Many have reported strange happenings, footsteps when no one is there, whispers in the dark, doors opening on their own. Paranormal investigators have descended on the house, convinced that something lingers, whether haunted or not. The house remains a symbol of the darkest moment in Villisca's history, a moment frozen in time, a place where the air still feels heavy, where the silence is deafening, and where the question of why still echoes through its walls. Over a century later, the Villisca Axe Murders remain one of America's most infamous unsolved crimes. No arrests, no justice, just the enduring mystery of who on that warm summer night took an axe and ended the lives of an entire family, and 2 innocent girls. Some say it was a professional killer. Others claim it was someone driven by hatred or madness. But the truth, it's still locked behind the door. And maybe, just maybe it always will be. If you found this story chilling and fascinating, subscribe now to Crimes Through Time. We uncover a real crime story every week, each one darker than the last. Comment below. Do you think this was a calculated hit, or the work of a deranged madman?